Saturday, as we are now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Orange, brought to you every week by Oswego County Mutual, Adrian Autry, joining us. And Coach, I guess we'll start with the last game and then look ahead from there. Going back to Louisville Tuesday night, rough night. Obviously, they're a really good team. What was the biggest challenge, I guess, that they presented on Tuesday night?
I thought we competed for the first, 13 or 14 minutes, and then probably the last 4 minutes of the game, of the first half, I thought we had a couple of 50-50 plays that we needed to make, and we didn't make. A loose ball, they grab it, shoot a three. We go under on the shooter, he gets a 4-point play, and I thought that kind of separated it. And then after that, we just had a tough time trying to, dig our way out of and get back to make it a competitive game in the second half.
I want to ask you something about the 50-50 balls. How do you instill, the word discipline comes up a lot from our listeners. How do you instill, there's one specific play, I'm not going to say a player name, where they didn't dive for a loose ball. Yeah. How do you instill into the players the need for that to happen?
We talk about it, we practice, loose balls, but I think ultimately, you hope that your guys understand it. You hope that they are the first to the floor. We work on it. You do things like that, little drills, energy drills, 50-50 ball, drills, charges and all that. You work on that stuff. And, sometimes they just, they don't do it. They don't do it. Sometimes we do it. Sometimes, other teams, I'm sure all teams do it. It's just in the game that you have to be able to do that.
I got one more question on that topic. When you're scouting a player, how do you realize, is that something noticeable that you can see in a player, that's a guy that's going to go do those things?
I think, you see it, but you also believe in, what your program is about, and you believe that, you have to make those things, valuable, they're very important. So, you stress that, again, we do, and we have done those. Again, does every player do everything you ask them every time? No. Does your kid listen to you and everything that you tell them to do? No. So again, I think you got to always be whole picture when it comes to, a season. Do you make those plays more consistently than not? And I think that's where you can kind of come up with, whether someone is going to do that or not. And then when you're, obviously when you're recruiting and you're evaluating, you try to find those, but there's not a lot of clips of loose balls out there.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Along those lines, Coach, Chapel Moore is a name that keeps coming up on our show as well. And I don't need to tell you this, 6 straight games where he hasn't scored a point. Aside from making shots, because sometimes a player can't control that, right? He's had a lot of shots go in and out. Right. But what else does he need to do, and what's the messaging been to him for him to earn more minutes on the court, whether he's making shots or not?
Well, I think we all know, some of the things that are, glaring for us is taking care of the basketball. I think he's been forced to make some plays off the bounce and not had the best decisions, and just keep working. He's a freshman, and again, he's a guy that that works his tail off. He continues to do that, but. Freshmen coming into college basketball, that's a tough transition to make. And again, we're playing, different, and he has some guys that are more experienced than him, ahead of him. And, and here's the reality, we're struggling a little bit. So I'm looking for, to be able to try to solidify, some type of defensive, pressure, resistance, and knowing what's going on, and rotations and things like that. And that's a lot to ask, So again, he just has to keep doing what he has to do, and keep working and not keeping his head down. And again, the shots will fall, but the attention to detail, all those things, those things all matter. And I think most freshmen, again, all of them go through it. We can't afford to do a lot of it. We've tried that and we haven't had the results that we've had. So we got to try to do the best that we can.
JJ coming off a game in which he only scored 4 points, only took 7 shots, both season lows. He hasn't taken less than 7 shots in a game in more than a full calendar year. What was it about what Louisville was doing defensively? And I guess, is there a concern that other opponents are going to try and do that, right? They're going to try to take JJ away, your best player, the best that they can. Other guys are going to have to step up. That didn't happen on Tuesday. Is there any concern that what Louisville did can be replicated, I guess, by the opponents moving forward?
I think every team poses a different challenge, but I do know, if you come in to play a Syracuse team and you want to, your game planner, you got to try to figure out how to stop him. So I think he'll see more coverages of that. I think, for JJ, this is the first time, that he, in a long time, has been, the head of a scouting report, and teams are trying to stop him and stuff like that. So we have to go through that process and be able to, kind of move him around a little bit more. Sometimes with the ball, sometimes without the ball. We got to come up with some different things so that so we can offset that so that he can still be impactful and help us win.
I was watching the Louisville game, and they take a lot of threes in their games. Like, everybody shoots them. How, like, offensively, is that I don't want to question your thing. Is that an option for you guys? Because how do you get other guys open looks? Like, Jair got open looks because they're not used to him hitting that. Is that an option for you guys to shoot more threes?
I'll tell you why Louisville can do it is they really have, they typically have 3 to 4 guys that all can kind of put it on the floor and attack the rim and make the defense shrink. So that's why they have the ability to get a lot of threes off. When you don't have that, you got to try to, do it by screening and trying to, do it by passing. And they're a quick team. So, and most teams are quick. So, that's how they have the ability to do it. The point guard doesn't necessarily have to bring the ball up. Their 2-man can bring the ball up. Their 3-man can bring the ball up. And occasionally they have a 4-man that can bring the ball up, that all can drive and kick. So that's how you can have the ability to do that. With us, I thought we got good looks. And I think, speaking of Elijah, he had 2 open looks in the beginning of the game. I think, if you make 1 or 2 of those, the game may, change a little bit, for the first half. But we're getting some open looks, not a lot of them, so we're probably putting a little bit of pressure on ourselves to make them.
Just doing our job here, we do have to ask you about Donnie Freeman. I don't know if you can give us an update, but even if you can't give us an update on a timeline, can you let us know, I guess, how will things look different when he's back? What do you miss about him the most not having him?
Well, I think you add another guy that can score. You add another guy that can rebound the basketball, even though rebounding has, for the most part this year, we've been one of the better rebounding teams in our league, and, just a good rebounding team. But, a guy that can actually, score a little bit more. He was the guy that was probably, statistically was our best three-point shooter. A guy that could, knock a, occasional 3 down. And it was big for even Jair to be able to knock, 2 down because he's a better shooter than what his percentages are. And so, if we can get some more threes, that he was the guy that had the ability to do that and rebounding, and his defense was getting better. It wasn't there, but he was getting better with that. But we missed some rebounding and some outside scoring for sure.
Let me follow up on Donnie real quick because we've had some people wonder if it's actually a serious injury and if he's not coming back. Can you address that at all? Will we see him back this season during the regular season?
Again, that's still kind of day to day. I know we should know something very soon as far as where he's at, but I know he is improving. So that's again, I still don't have a timeline on that.
All right, I like to ask one listener question of every interview, Coach. One of them wants to know about your philosophy about getting around screens with your team.
Around screens?
Yeah, like when you're playing defense. Is your team?
Hard to get around. It's hard to get around moving screens, So, and again, I thought it was a couple of those the last game we played. But typically, my philosophy on moving screens is that we try to blow screens up and try to get in between and push people out. And if not, we chase them over with help from the passer, like every team does.
Thank you,
like every team does. So again, I'll say this. I played in this program, and this program is one of the best in the country. And are we performing at the way we want to perform? No. So I understand the questions that you get, and the frustration, and it should be, and I'm, we feel the same way. This team feels the same way. But the one thing I tell everyone out there, this team is not giving up. I'm not a quitter. We don't quit. We're going to keep battling. We're going to keep performing every game and giving it our best. Is it always going to come out the results that we want? No, but we will not stop playing and getting better. So we're looking at this as a whole season. You finish the season, we're going to play to the end. And that's what I would say.
And with that in mind, you've got Notre Dame next, a team you already saw. Both teams were without their best player in that game back in December. What do you take from that game? Because, again, the teams are different now. And I guess, what can you take out of that game, and what do you expect to see on Saturday?
Obviously Notre Dame, Coach Shrewsbury, Mika Shrewsbury is a great coach. Offensively, they always have guys that can shoot the basketball. They got their point guard back, just like we got our point guard back. So, again, last year's game, if you can remember, it was a high-scoring game, going back and forth, high pace, a lot of shot-making abilities. I expect them to come in with the same thing. It's going to be, a lot of stress on our perimeter, the three-point line and trying to, run people off the three-point line and contain and rebound. And so, I think it's going to be a high-paced game.
All right, Coach. We do appreciate the time. Best of luck on Saturday, and we look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Thank you.
All right, Adrian Autry joining us here on the program, brought to you every week by Oswego County Mutual. And with that, we'll open up the phone lines for one segment, 315-437-7644. Matt Park coming up at 1:30. We're back after this on ESPN.